Atlas was known for its luxury lifestyle and its Huntsman Academy, but no one ever talks about the lower class that lived under the floating city. In the city of Mantle, the only good thing they got from Atlas is the heating grid, so they wouldn't freeze to death. In a small apartment complex lived a 17-year-old girl who had just passed the entrance exam into Atlas Academy with flying colors. She would be leaving Mantle to train as a huntress.
Blue, come eat before dinner gets cold.
Coming, Dad.
Blue walked into the kitchen, grabbed plates and silverware for her and her father, Henry Falls.
Dad?
Yes, Blue.
Should I stay here with you?
Henry put his silverware down.
Sweetheart, we talked about this.
I know, but who's going to take care of you if I'm at the academy?
Blue Falls, are you implying I need a babysitter?
No, I didn't say that. What I meant was...
It's okay, Blue. I'm just messing with you. I promise you, I can take care of myself. You need to fulfill your dreams of becoming a huntress, so you can be like your mom. And I know you will do great. Do you know why?
Why?
Because you are already like her.
Blue never met her mother because she went missing during one of her missions. But Blue strived to be a huntress because of her, the stories her father told about her, and how kind she was to others. Blue's first week in Atlas was rough. She was put up with a team of 3 girls who lived in Atlas. Her team was called Team EMBR, led by Ebony Hex. Along with the other members, Marigold Fiona and Robin Topaz. Team EMBR's dorm room. Blue stepped into the dorm room at Atlas Academy, her eyes scanning the space. The room was neat and functional, with 4 bunk beds built into the walls. A ladder in the middle allowed access to the upper beds, and each bunk had its own small reading lamp and shelf for personal items. The faint hum of the Academy's machinery was the only sound until the door opened behind her. Fiona Topaz and their team leader, Ebony Hex, entered the room. Ebony, with her usual confident stride, walked past Blue without a word and claimed one of the bottom bunks. She tossed her bag onto the bed and began unpacking her things. Fiona, cheerful as ever, climbed the ladder and settled into the top bunk above Ebony. Topaz, with a smirk on her face, turned to Blue. Sarcastically,
"So you don't mind if I take this bottom bunk, do you?"
Pointing to the second bottom bunk. Blue, taken aback but not wanting to cause any trouble, immediately nodded.
No, not at all. Go ahead.
Topaz's smirk softened slightly as she began to set up her stuff. Blue glanced around, considering the remaining top bunk for herself. Ebony, having watched the exchange, crossed her arms and sighed.
You know, Blue, you won't get far at this academy if you keep being so submissive.
Blue turned to her, a hint of determination in her eyes.
I really don't mind, Ebony. It's just a bed.
Ebony scoffed and turned her head away, clearly unimpressed. Mutters.
Suit yourself.
As Blue climbed the ladder to her chosen bunk, she took a moment to look out the window. The view of Atlas Academy and the city beyond was breathtaking, a constant reminder of the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. She placed her belongings on the shelf, arranging them carefully. From her top bunk, Fiona leaned over with a smile.
Don't worry about Ebony. She's just tough on everyone at first. You'll get used to it.
Blue nodded, grateful for Fiona's kindness.
Thanks. I just want to focus on becoming a great huntress.
Ebony, overhearing their conversation, softened slightly, but didn't let it show. Whispers to herself.
We'll see if you have what it takes, Blue.
As the evening settled in and the room grew quieter, Blue lay in her bunk, staring at the ceiling. She thought about her journey to Atlas, the training that awaited her, and the team dynamics she would have to navigate. Despite Ebony's tough exterior and Topaz's sarcasm, she felt a sense of belonging starting to form. The weeks went on with the usual amount of stress from classes, but it was the sparring sessions that excited Blue. She could observe many techniques from the many huntsman and huntress students. The training room at Atlas Academy buzzed with energy as students sparred in pairs, the clash of weapons and the thud of blows filling the air. Blue stood on the sidelines, watching her fellow students with a mixture of awe and apprehension. She was still new here, still finding her place among the elite warriors in training. Her eyes followed the swift movements of a particularly skilled duo, their dance of combat seamless and precise. But her observation was interrupted by the voice of her team leader, Ebony Hex.
Blue, come here.
Blue hesitated, her heart racing. She had seen Ebony sparring before and knew she was formidable.
Yes, Ebony.
Ebony crossed her arms, her gaze unwavering.
I want to spar with you. I need to see what you're capable of.
Blue's eyes widened.
But I'm not ready.
Ebony's expression hardened.
That's not a request. It's an order.
The room fell silent as the other students stopped to watch. Bleu felt their eyes on her, judging, waiting. She stepped forward reluctantly, taking her place across from Ebony.
Defensive already, I see.
Ebony lunged at Bleu, throwing a series of quick punches. Bleu blocked and dodged, focusing entirely on defense.
Fight back, Blue!
Ebony's strikes became more forceful as Blue's reluctance only seemed to fuel her aggression. A sharp punch landed in Blue's stomach, knocking the wind out of her. She staggered, and before she could recover, Ebony swept her legs out from under her, sending her crashing to the floor. Ebony stood over her, anger flashing in her eyes.
You must learn not to pull your punches or show weakness. The Grim won't give you that luxury. How do you expect to become a huntress when you can't even fight back against your own teammate?
Bleu struggled to her feet, her mind racing.
Maybe you don't belong here. Maybe you should go back to the slums of Mantle, where you belong.
Something inside Bleu snapped. A surge of energy coursed through her, and before she could control it, a shockwave erupted from her, sending Ebony flying into the training room wall. The impact was brutal, dislocating Ebony's arm. The room erupted into chaos. Fiona and Topaz rushed to Ebony's side, glaring at Bleu.
You freak.
What's wrong with you?
Fiona pushed Bleu away as she tried to help. Topaz's eyes were filled with anger and fear.
Stay away from us.
Topaz helps Fiona lift Ebony. They hurried out of the room, leaving Bleu standing alone, the weight of what just happened crashing down on her. Bleu's heart pounded in her chest as she watched her teammates leave. She had lost control, and now they saw her as a threat. She sank to her knees, tears streaming down her face. The room around her blurred as she fought to calm the storm inside her. She had come to Atlas Academy to become a huntress, to protect others, not to hurt them. But now, she wasn't sure if she could even protect herself from the power within her. She stepped through the doors of General Ironwood's office and first felt fear as she saw the general himself. She was also confused as she saw a huntress with blonde hair, white clothes, and a riding crop. It took Bleu a second to realize who the woman was, and then it clicked. It was Professor Goodwitch of Beacon Academy.
Hello, Mrs. Falls. Thank you for coming.
Am I in trouble?
Oh, no, of course not. Professor Goodwitch saw your sparring match just now and wants to talk to you for a few minutes.
With me?
Yes, you.
Looks at Glinda.
I will leave you two be.
Thank you, James.
General Ironwood leaves the room. Glinda pulls out her scroll and shows Bleu the footage of her semblance outburst.
How did you do that?
I don't know. I just got angry at Ebony, and the next thing I know, I feel so much rage. I tried to stop it, but I lost control.
You have a very strong semblance, Blue, but your emotions bring out the worst of it, and from what I've seen, your teammates will only make matters worse.
Bleu lowers her head. Sigh.
That is why I will give you a choice. You can continue your training here at Atlas, continue to be shunned and outcasted by your teammates. Or you can come with me to Vale, where you can be put together with teammates that you can work well with.
You want me to come to Beacon?
I'm offering you a chance to be the best huntress you can be. So what is your decision?
Bleu thinks for a moment before she decides.
I'll do it. I'll come with you to Beacon, but I have one request.
And what is it?
My father, he's the only reason I went through with coming here, and he has always supported me, so I can't leave him behind.
Of course.
The next day, Bleu and her father were on an airship to Vale with Glinda Goodwitch. Blue's father was given a free home to stay in while Blue was at Beacon. When Blue arrived at Beacon, she was brought to the headmaster's office where she met the great Professor Ozpin.
Why, hello, Ms. Falls. How are you feeling?
Fine, I guess.
I promise you, you have nothing to worry about. In fact, we have a surprise for you.
Suddenly the elevator dings as the door opens to reveal 3 girls. One girl is seen wearing a designer mask over her mouth and nose. Another looked to be a faunus of some kind, but the third girl caught Blue's attention because she was looking into her mesmerizing eyes.
Perfect timing, girls. Blue, I'd like you to meet Ari Light, Akali Shadow, and Evelyn Shade. Girls, this is Bleu Falls, your team leader.
Blue goes wide-eyed.
Wait, what?
As Blue feels skeptical about this as Ari suddenly grabs her hand.
Oh, it is a pleasure to meet you, Miss Falls. I hope we will be great friends.
Easy, Ari. It's already overwhelming that she's here at Beacon, but she is also the team leader.
I don't know about that, but I see something special about this one. I love your eyes.
Ozpin notices Blue has 2 different colored eyes. One is ocean blue and the other is silver. He is surprised he didn't see this before but doesn't mention it further.
From here on out, you will be known as Team BLAE, Blaze.
From that point on, Blue trained with her new friends for 4 years and became Huntresses of Beacon. 15 years later, Team BLAE had been on many adventures throughout the years, but things tend to change, and Blue had to make a choice. Team BLAE arrived at a cafe and sat around a table. Akali breaks the awkward silence.
Okay, this needs to stop.
Whatever do you mean?
This issue that we're dealing with. Blue?
Please, Akali, I don't want to get into this right now.
Akali's right, Blue. We need to know your answer.
I don't know.
Blue's eyes start to tear up until she feels Evelyn's hand grasping hers. She looks at Evelyn as she gives Blue a reassuring smile.
I can't leave Vale yet. I have some things to figure out first.
Evelyn squeezes Blue's hand.
And we'll be waiting for you in Mistral when you are ready.
But make sure you video call us every night, okay?
I promise.
You better.
The city of Vale docks were alive with the bustle of travelers and the cries of seagulls, but for Bleu Falls, the activity around her was a distant hum. She stood with her teammates, the weight of their impending separation hanging heavily in the air. Ari and Akali were the first to move. Ari's fox ears twitched with emotion as she pulled Bleu into a tight hug.
Take care of yourself, Blue. We'll meet again soon.
Akali joined the hug, her voice softer than usual.
Yeah, don't get into too much trouble without us.
Blue laughed lightly, squeezing them both.
I won't. You two stay safe in Mistral, okay?
They nodded and, with one last look, turned to board the ferry. Bleu watched them go, her heart heavy but full of affection for her friends. Next was Evelyn. Standing just a step away, Evelyn's eyes shimmered with unshed tears.
I don't want to leave you, Blue.
Bleu reached out, gently touching Evelyn's cheek.
We'll see each other again one day, Eve. I promise.
Evelyn leaned into the touch, closing her eyes momentarily, as if to savor the feel of Blue's hand. When she opened them, a small, hopeful smile played on her lips.
You better keep that promise.
I will.
Blue leaned in and kissed Evelyn's cheek, lingering just a moment longer than necessary. Evelyn's smile widened, though her eyes were still damp. She took a deep breath, then turned to board the ferry, pausing to look back at Bleu one last time. Bleu raised her hand in a wave, trying to convey all the love and hope she felt in that simple gesture. As the ferry began to pull away from the dock, Bleu continued to wave, watching her teammates until they were out of sight. The sound of the water and the distant hum of the city filled the silence that followed. She felt a mix of sadness and resolve, knowing that their paths would cross again, and until then, she would carry the strength and love of her teammates with her.